Welcome back to part 2 of our Space Invaders on Scratch tutorial. Today we will be adding laser shooting of the alien and more enemies than just the alien, and we will also be adding explosions and player death. So to begin with, we'll save this as a new copy. Remember, this is very important to do that since we don't want to lose all our work, and rename it part 2. Okay, so let's head into my assets project right now. The link is in the description of the video. And we'll drag the enemy explosion laser alien and the audio sprite into our backpack. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that we're also adding sound effects to our tutorial. So drag the enemy explosion alien laser and audio sprites in there. Head into the enemy 2 sprite and drag the UFO and bomb costumes into the enemy. And then we'll delete the enemy 2 sprite. Okay, and we'll rename this laser sprite laser player. And we'll drag the when flag clicked and my stars are clone scripts into laser alien. And we'll clean up blocks. And instead of going to player, we'll go to we'll decide that later in the tutorial. Anyway, make space for any other scripts and do forever, and we'll spawn a UFO and bomb at random times. So do if and to pick random 1 to say 1000 equals 1. If it is, then we'll clone the UFO at the top left edge of the screen, which is -240 and 180. And then duplicate when I start as a clone script, and then remove the set frame to 0 script, and we'll change the alien to UFO. Then remove this change frame and do point towards random direction or point in direction. Pick random -180.0 to 180.0 if you don't have the Scratch add-ons extension. Anyway, the extension is called point towards random direction block. To get this, you have to enable that extension. Then after pointing towards random direction, we'll point in direction and we'll round it to 45. To do this, we'll get a multiply, then a round on the left, and division in the round. And anyway, put direction in the left of the division, and then 45 on the right division, and on the very far right, 45. And then we'll wait half a second. And then duplicate this. And then forever move 10 steps, and to get it off the edge of the screen, we'll do if on edge bounce, and we'll change the rotation to don't rotate. So and we will also be adding brightness effects. And then speaking of brightness effects, we'll make a list called brightness for all sprites. And at the top, we'll ensure we delete all of brightness. And then we'll make 2 new custom blocks. One will called set up brightnesses, run without screen refresh, and flash animation. And I said we were going to tick run without screen refresh for every block, but this block is the only block without run without screen refresh, so don't tick it for this custom block. Anyway, under define setup brightnesses, we'll add 100 to brightnesses, and then 50, and then 0. Yeah. And after waiting 0 seconds, we'll set up brightnesses, then flash animation, and then we'll delete the clone. Under flash animation, we'll repeat for the length of brightness. Every time we'll delete one of brightness. But get out an item 1 of brightness block, and then before deleting 1 of brightness, set brightness effect to 1 of brightness. And then I'll delete the first item brightness when we set brightness effect to the first item. And then so we have audio, laser, explosion 6, and explosion 18. We'll drag the laser sound into the laser player sprite, the explosion 6 into the enemy, and then explosion 18 into the player sprite. Once you've done that, we will delete the audio sprite. So just before everything, start sound laser. And that means the enemy sprite will delete the default pop sound, because we won't need that anymore. Sorry, pop sound. So if we run this now, okay, yes, you see the aliens animating before they disappear. And just before flash animation, we'll start sound explosion 6. And I also forgot to mention, we have to drag the explosion 18 sound into the enemy sprite. So we'll do an if else and check for type equals alien. Then we'll start sound explosion 6, otherwise start sound explosion 18. And then we'll delete and we'll drag out the if touching laser player, And then we'll use this as well. If we run this, you see when we kill an enemy. Oh, that's not UFO, that's bomb. Oh, I forgot to mention, we switch costume to UFO. And then, in type equals alien, we'll switch costume to... Actually, we've got the switch costume. We'll walk in here. Yep, we've killed UFO. See the aliens flash when we kill them. Here comes another UFO. Oh dang, missed it. Whoa, 2 UFOs. Well, one now that we've killed the other one. Okay, so... And we'll also add wins. Make a new variable called enemies. And I said all of them are going to be, the variables are going to be for this sprite only, but this is the only one that's for all sprites. And then, after creating the play of myself, we'll change, before this we'll change enemies by 1. And then, then set enemies to 0. And then we'll change enemies by -1 here. And then the same for this. So if we show the enemies variable, see the enemies 2060 to 15. Flash. Last one. Oh, there's one more. Oh, I've got hit by the UFO. Good thing we didn't code death yet. Okay, now to do the win. We'll do play sprite. If and check if enemies is less than 1. If it is, then we'll broadcast a message called win. And then when I receive win, we'll stop our description sprite. And then we'll make and then we'll say congratulations, you've defeated all the enemies. 3 seconds. And then we'll enter the enemy sprite and do pick random 1 to 1000 equals 1. Then we'll clone bomb at the same position we did it. And we'll duplicate or check for not the type is not UFO or bomb. Then we'll replace this with that too. And switch costume to type. And then we'll do if before this repeat and check if the type was a bomb. Okay, so in this forever loop, we'll change color effect by 10. Then we'll broadcast a message called explosion. And then in the explosion sprite, when I receive explosion, will show. And then when flag clicked, will hide. And then set size to 100. And then we'll repeat for 20 times. Change size by 10. And then we'll change color effect by 10 as well. And then clear graphic effects at the start. And then after this repeat loop, we'll duplicate this and then change the show at the bottom to hide. And then we'll do another. If we'll duplicate this and pick 1 to 1000 equals 1 and put it in the alien script. Then inside of this, we'll create clone of laser, but this time the alien laser. But where do we spawn? We don't know, so create 2 new variables, spawn X, for sprites, and spawn Y, for sprites. But before you create clone the alien laser, we'll set spawn X and spawn Y for the position of the sprite. Spawn X to X position and set spawn Y to Y position. And then laser alien, and then remove this go to player and go to and replace it with a go to X, spawn X, Y, spawn Y. And instead change Y by -10 and change this enemy to player. And then we'll do an if before deleting this clone, and we'll check if it was touching the player that it touched. If it was the player that it touched, then we will broadcast game over. And then in the explosion, and then in the player, we'll do when I receive game over, we'll stop at the script and sprite, and then we will repeat for 7 times. Every time we'll just play sound explosion 80 until done. We'll just click that. But before this, we'll hide. And then explosion. We'll do when I receive game over, show. We'll switch costume to white screen, but in the when flag clicked, we'll switch costume to boom. Actually, we'll do this in when I receive explosion. Actually, yeah, we'll do it in both cases. Then switch the costume to white screen, then create clone of myself, and then switch costume to boom. And then set brightness effect to 100. And then we'll repeat for 50 times, but not before waiting for 2 seconds. Every time we'll change ghost effect by -2 and brightness by -1. And actually we'll repeat this for 100 times. And then when I start as a clone, we'll wait for 1 second and then repeat 50 times. Actually, we'll do 25, change ghost effect by -4. Actually, we'll do 4 and then change the -2 to 2. And then, so we run this now, you'll see that, okay, but we'll also do in the enemy, we'll do if touching do we're going to if I'm going to borrow the if touching player from laser alien and drag it into the enemy sprite. And then we'll do if touching player, cast game over. And then we'll do when I receive game over, we'll stop other script in sprite. And then we will run this. If we let's go to one of the alien places. Oh, it's exploded in the middle. Now let's do go to player. Okay, obviously we'll go to X0, Y0 before switching costume to right screen. And then we'll go to player before switching costume to boom. And then make a new custom block called set spawn positions. Run without screen refresh. And we'll move the custom block down into some free space. And then drag the spawn X and spawn Y positions into there and replace them with set spawn positions. And then we'll set spawn positions before broadcasting explosion. And then in the when we receive explosion, we'll go to X, Y, spawn Y. Oh, we'll show the player. We'll wait for the enemy to shoot a laser. Oh. Have we done this? Ah. Oh, I'm so scared of your lasers. Ah. Oh, dang it. Oh, so in the enemy sprite, we'll broadcast explosion and then firstly this is such I'm just gonna actually we'll do when I receive win stop at the script in sprite as well. And then delete this clone. Okay, so yeah, and okay, so we've done a lot of work, and this is the end of the episode now. If you enjoyed it, like the video and subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss my next one. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you later.